I still remember the exact words she said, "You'll never see her again." My own daughter-in-law stood in my living room, her eyes cold as winter. She looked at me like I was nothing. "You're confusing her," she said. "You're filling her head with old stories, and she doesn't need that." I tried to stay calm, my voice shaking. "She's my granddaughter, Anna. I only tell her about where she came from, about her father when he was her age." But Anna crossed her arms. "And that's exactly the problem," she snapped. "You make her love you more than she loves us. You're turning her against her own mother." For a moment, the room went silent. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. My little granddaughter, Lily, was sitting on the stairs, her tiny hands clutching her teddy bear, her eyes wide with fear. She didn't understand what was happening, but she knew something was wrong. Then Anna pointed toward the door and said, "From today, you're not to see her anymore. You had your time. Now she's our child." My knees went weak. My hands trembled as I reached for the nearest chair. "Anna, please, she's all I have left." But she turned away. And before I could speak again, she took Lily by the hand and walked out the door. The last thing I heard was the sound of the car starting, and Lily's small voice calling, "Grandma." That voice still haunts me. That night, I sat alone in my quiet little house. The pictures on the wall stared back at me, my son, my husband, my younger self, all frozen in happier times. I kept asking myself the same question over and over again: how did it come to this? But that wasn't the end. Because the very next morning, there was a knock at my door. "Hi everyone, I'm Evelyn, and this is my story. A story about love, betrayal, and the one person who gave me hope when I was ready to give up." Before I tell you what happened next, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you love stories that touch your heart. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from, maybe share a small piece of your story too. You never know, someone might need to hear it. I wasn't always alone. I once had a big, beautiful family. My son, Michael, was my pride. I raised him after his father died when he was just in. He was a kind boy, the kind who would help me fix the porch steps or bring home wildflowers from the park. When he met Anna, I was happy for him. She was bright, ambitious, and charming. I thought, maybe this is God's way of giving my son the love he deserves. But love can hide a lot of truth. After they got married, things changed slowly, like a quiet storm creeping closer. Anna didn't like how close Michael and I were. She said I interfered too much. She didn't want me around when they moved into the new house, even though I had helped them with the down payment. Still, I stayed kind. I baked cookies for Lily when she was born. I babysat her when Anna needed time for work. And Lily, oh, that little girl, she was my sunshine. She'd run into my arms every time she saw me. She called me Grandma Evie and said my house smelled like warm bread and magic. But as Lily grew, Anna's bitterness grew too. She started limiting our visits. First once a week, then once a month. Then, not at all. She'd tell Michael I was spoiling her. She said I filled her head with nonsense. All I ever did was tell her about her father, how brave he was as a boy, how he once climbed the tallest oak tree in our yard just to hang a wind chime for me. The truth is, Anna wasn't jealous of Lily's love. She was afraid of what I represented, roots. She wanted control over everything. And when people like her can't control love, they try to destroy it. The night she took Lily away, I sat in the dark, staring at the empty chair by the fire. It still had Lily's little pink blanket draped over it. I ran my fingers over the fabric and whispered, "I'll see you again, sweetheart. I don't know how, but I will." Then came that knock. At first, I thought I was imagining it. But when I opened the door, I froze. Standing there, holding a small bag of groceries, was my neighbor, Mr. Harris, an old man who would lived across the road for years. He said softly, "Evelyn, I saw what happened yesterday. You shouldn't be alone tonight." That small act of kindness broke the silence around me. He sat with me that evening, listening as I poured out everything, the years of tension, the fights, the loneliness. When I finished, he leaned forward and said, "You know, Evelyn, they might think they've taken everything from you. But they don't know who you really are. You're stronger than they'll ever understand." I didn't believe him then. But looking back, he was right. Because that night, something inside me changed. I realized love can't be stolen, not real love. It lives in your heart, and no one can take that away. Still, I couldn't shake one thought from my mind. Why did Anna suddenly snap like that? What was she so afraid of? I didn't know it yet, but the truth behind her anger would shake my whole world, and what I did next would change everything for all of us. The next few days passed like a blur. Every morning I woke up expecting to hear Lily's laughter outside my door, her small voice asking for pancakes. But all I heard was silence, heavy, suffocating silence. I kept her drawings on the refrigerator, her toys on the shelf, her blanket folded neatly on the couch. I couldn't bring myself to put them away. It felt like if I did, I'd be admitting she was really gone. One afternoon, as I was watering the small garden in my backyard, I saw Michael's car pull up outside. My heart jumped. I wiped my hands on my apron and ran to the gate. But when he stepped out, I could already see the guilt in his eyes. "Mom," he said softly, not meeting my gaze. "I just came to pick up some of Lily's clothes." That moment crushed me more than anything. "So, that's it?" I asked. "You're just taking her things and walking away?" He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Mom, please don't make this harder." "Anna doesn't want," I interrupted, my voice trembling. "Anna doesn't want." "What about you, Michael? What do you want?" He hesitated. For a second, I saw the boy I'd raised, kind, gentle, torn between love and duty. But then he whispered, "I just want peace." And just like that, he turned away. When he drove off, I sunk to the ground, my hands shaking, the sound of the engine fading into the distance. That's when I knew I had lost not just my granddaughter, but my son too. But still, I couldn't stop loving them. Love doesn't switch off. It just hurts quieter. A week later, as the sun set behind the hills, I got a letter in the mail, no return address. The handwriting was shaky, almost like a child's. My hands trembled as I opened it. It was from Lily. Inside was a crumpled piece of paper, written in bright purple marker. "Grandma, I miss you. Mommy says I can't come, but I keep my teddy on my bed like you said. I love you to the moon and back." I pressed that note against my heart, tears running down my cheeks. But at the bottom of the page, there was something else, a small drawing of a house. My house. And beside it, a woman with a sad face. Me. Underneath, Lily had written, "Mommy says we might move." That line froze me. Move? Where? Why so suddenly? I folded the note carefully and sat in my chair by the window, staring out at the road. Something wasn't right. I could feel it. That night, I went through the old papers in my cabinet, the property deed, insurance records, bills. My husband, God rest his soul, had left this house fully in my name. But as I looked closer, I saw a second folder, one Michael had asked me to sign years ago. Back then, he said it was just paperwork for taxes. But now, my hands began to shake as I saw the words printed at the top, Joint Ownership Agreement. And right below that, Anna's name. It hit me like a thunderclap. They weren't just keeping Lily away, they were planning to take the house too. The next morning, I went to the county office to check the deed records. The clerk, a kind young woman, looked up from her computer and said, "Ma'am, there was a recent request to transfer ownership on this property. You're still listed as the primary owner, but the request is pending." I felt the ground shift beneath me. Who requested it? I asked, though I already knew. The woman hesitated. "It came from your son's address." I walked out of that office numb. The sun felt colder that day. All those years, every sacrifice, every night I'd stayed awake to keep my son fed after his father died, and now they wanted to erase me. But something inside me hardened. That was the moment the quiet, gentle woman they thought they could break stopped being afraid. I decided if they wanted to take everything I had, they'd have to look me in the eye while doing it. That evening, I called my old friend Mr. Harris. "Do you still have that lawyer friend you once told me about?" I asked. "The one who helps people with property disputes." He nodded. "Of course, Evelyn. You're finally ready to fight." I took a deep breath and said, "No, I'm ready to protect what's mine." Over the next few weeks, I worked quietly. I didn't confront Michael. I didn't call Anna. I let them believe I was broken, beaten. Meanwhile, the lawyer helped me secure everything legally, the deed, my rights, even a clause to ensure no one could sell the house without my written consent. It wasn't revenge. It was survival. But one night, while I sat by the fire, I looked at Lily's drawing again. That little house she drew wasn't about property. It was about home. A home where she felt safe, loved, and free. I realized then, if I ever wanted her to find her way back to me, I had to build something worth returning to. So I started fixing the garden again. I repainted the porch. I baked her favorite cookies once a week and froze them, just in case she comes. And every night, before bed, I whispered a prayer, "Please, let her remember me not with sadness, but with love." But just as I was learning to live again, I got a call that changed everything. It was Michael. His voice was trembling. "Mom, can I come over?" he said. I hesitated, my heart caught between anger and longing. "Why now?" I asked. He was quiet for a moment before whispering, "Because Anna left. And Lily, she wants to see you." My knees nearly gave out. I clutched the phone, tears filling my eyes. But even as joy flooded through me, a small voice in my heart whispered, this wasn't the end of the story. Something else was coming. And what happened next would test every ounce of strength I had left. When I opened the door that morning, I almost didn't recognize my son. Michael stood there, his face pale, his eyes swollen from lack of sleep. He looked like the boy I once held after his first heartbreak, lost, broken, searching for forgiveness. Behind him stood Lily, clutching her teddy bear, half hiding behind his leg. She had grown taller, her hair longer, but her eyes, Those same blue eyes she shared with her father hadn't changed at all. For a few seconds, none of us spoke. The only sound was the creaking of the porch boards under their feet. Then Lily whispered, "Grandma." And that single word shattered every wall I had built inside me. I dropped to my knees, tears blurring my vision. She ran into my arms, and for the first time in months, my world felt whole again. We stayed like that for a long time, holding each other. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need to. Some things are felt before they're spoken. But when we finally sat down inside, Michael took a deep breath and said quietly, "Mom, I need to tell you everything." He told me how things between him and Anna had fallen apart. How she'd become controlling, angry, always accusing him of choosing me and Lily over her. She wanted to move, he said, staring at the floor. "She found a buyer for your house, Mom. That's why she wanted your signature so badly. She planned to sell it and move out of state, start over somewhere new." He paused, guilt heavy in his voice. I didn't know how far she'd go until last month. I found out she filed the transfer papers behind my back. I sat quietly, listening. The hurt was deep, but so was the relief. "Why didn't you stop her?" I asked softly. He shook his head. "I was afraid. Afraid to lose my marriage, afraid to lose Lily." His voice cracked. "But in trying not to lose them, I lost you." We both sat there, the weight of years of silence hanging in the air. I could see the regret in his eyes, not the kind that asks for forgiveness, but the kind that already knows it doesn't deserve it. I reached across the table, placing my hand over his. "Michael," I said, my voice trembling, "you're my son. I never stopped loving you. But love isn't enough if we don't protect it." He nodded slowly, tears running down his face. Lily looked up at me then, her little voice breaking the tension. "Grandma, are you mad at Daddy?" I smiled through tears and shook my head. "No, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups forget how to listen to their hearts. But they can always find their way back." She smiled, resting her head on my shoulder. Over the next few days, they stayed with me. The house that once echoed with loneliness was filled with laughter again, the sound of footsteps, the smell of pancakes in the morning, the warmth of family. I thought that maybe, finally, peace had found us. But life always finds a way to test what you've rebuilt. One evening, I got a call. It was Anna. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. "Evelyn," she said, "I know you think you've won, but this isn't over. Michael can have the house, but he'll never have me back. Tell him that." Before I could answer, she hung up. I sat there in silence, staring at the phone. Then I looked at Michael, who was sitting by the window, holding Lily's hand. I saw pain in his eyes, but I also saw something new. Strength. He wasn't the scared man he once was. He'd finally chosen what mattered most. That night, after Lily went to bed, Michael came to sit with me by the fireplace. The glow of the flames flickered against his face as he said, "Mom, I don't know how to make things right. I can't undo what I did." I looked at him for a moment and then said softly, "Then don't try to undo it. Just learn from it. Promise me you'll raise her with love, not control. Promise me you will show her what family really means." He nodded, eyes glistening. "I promise." The next morning, I watched them pack their things to leave. Lily ran up to me with a folded piece of paper. "Grandma," she said, "I made this for you." On it was a drawing, a small house with flowers around it, and 3 stick figures holding hands. Underneath, in her uneven handwriting, she had written, "Home is where love stays." I hugged her tightly, whispering, "You're right, my darling. Always remember that." When they drove away, I stood on the porch, the autumn breeze brushing against my face. I wasn't sad this time, because I knew something had changed, not just in them, but in me. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for anyone to come back. I had peace. Now, every evening, I sit on this porch with a cup of tea, watching the sun dip below the horizon. Sometimes Lily calls, and her voice fills my heart. Sometimes Michael visits, bringing groceries and that familiar smile. Life is quieter now, but it's honest. Real. You see, I once thought they took everything from me. My family. My happiness. My home. But the truth is, they only took what I allowed them to. When I finally took control, I didn't just protect my house. I reclaimed my heart. And that's my story. If you're still listening, thank you. Maybe you've been through something similar, maybe you've given everything to people who didn't see your worth. If that's you, I want you to remember this: you can't control who betrays you, but you can control what they don't take: your peace, your dignity, your love. So hold on to that. Because no matter how dark it gets, love always finds its way home.